Hello.
Welcome to the Not Axe Murderers podcast, or NAMP for short, you know.
Correct. NAMP.
Yeah.
NAMP.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do a little introduction of ourselves, and talk about what the frick frack is going on. But hi, I'm Flare Gun, or Sam, and that's me. That's that's. I think
So what you look like?
Yeah, this is what I look like.
Oh wow.
100%. I'm just an anime girl in your head. Yep.
Okay.
No, not actually. If anyone that doesn't know what this is because some people may have never heard of VTubing before, but I am a VTuber. So basically, I use a VTuber model, aka what you're looking at if you're watching the video. Audio listeners, sucks to suck, I guess. Doesn't really apply to you, but this is what you'll see. See
Yes.
when we're recording our episodes. Yeah, and I guess I'll do the second one. We'll just do the first two. But we should have done this first. This is an axe throwing podcast. We'll get into what axe throwing is, what all that means, but that's what this is. Should have said that first. And
Probably.
yeah, here's a fun fact that's not axe related. I like to metal growl and metal scream. So yeah.
Do you want to explain that, please? Because you lost me there.
Well, like it's like singing, but how people like growl for metal, like metal screams. That's
I feel like I'm just gonna have to see that. I feel like it's more of a visual thing now versus or maybe it's something I don't ever want to see. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if I did on League at Tuesday. I did a little bit of it when I started.
Okay.
When I was like, I ended up screaming Big Axe because I was like, we got to change it up. I've said Big Axe so many times in the same manner, but I will do it eventually. But I'm going to be so real. I'm going to be a baby and say that I've been talking too much and my throat's a little toasty and I don't want to roast it anymore. But yeah, that's me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I think you've done very well by yourself.
So good.
I do love how you introduced yourself with your, and we will talk about it, your axe name first versus your real name. So I feel like people would approach you and be like, "Oh, you're Flare Gun."
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, you're right. That is how we introduce ourselves most of the time. That is how if we have a hello name tag, hello, my name is, that's what it would say, not Sam.
No, that's true, because like I met so many people and then on Facebook I would get all these weird friend requests and I'm like, who the fuck is this person? Because I only knew their axe name, so I had to like look through all their pictures and I'm like, oh, they're that person.
I like how you said it took definitely less than 30 seconds to drop an F-bomb, so good job. You win that one.
No,
I thought I was unbeatable.
It's been 3 minutes and 47 seconds.
And you're counting. I love it. So yes, I guess I will let your voice relax a little bit. My name is Graham, and I go by the name the Water Boy. And obviously do we want to dive into where our names came from now, or jump around? What do you want to do about
that? I think okay, give us your fun fact and then we can talk about the names.
Okay, fun fact. I was about to say you didn't give a fun fact, but then I had to light bulb myself and remember that you did talk about your yes. Yeah. I'm not going to repeat that. I would say my fun fact is my joy for Lego and building Lego. It is something I have done since I was younger, since I was a kid. Came back into it, and it's amazing now how many people in the axe community actually enjoy the same hobby. So, as some people call me, I am their axe, or sorry, not their axe, their Lego dealer. Yes. Yeah. The Baltimore community knows all about Lego dealing and Lego deals.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think before you even told me about it, I think I was talking to someone and they were like, "Yeah, Graham's my Lego dealer." And I was like, "Wait, say that? Run that back for me, please."
yes. Yeah, most people have to take a second take on that one, and I get that. Yes.
No, but that's awesome. How like when did you have you always loved Lego or when did you get into it?
I believe I already spoke about that, Sam. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit.
I did. I said when I was younger, I was a kid.
Oh, well like yeah, but like when
Like
you were
what?
a kid is like were you like 6 or were you like 17? Like those are you don't have to say exactly, but like those are
So
big
specific. Wow.
differences. I said don't say exactly, but like I'm sorry.
Middle school age. I'll put that way. Probably middle
Yeah, there
school
we
age.
go. Okay.
Young middle
Okay.
school. Probably elementary, honestly. Yeah, that's right. Elementary
Okay.
age. Yeah,
Hell
stuck
yeah.
with it. Most people lose interest. Not everyone, but I lost interest and then came back into it. My outside the world job got me
Okay.
back into it and fell back into it and love it. So
That's awesome.
yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm so like I
What?
also used to like Lego, but I'm so surprised now. I think like the older I've got that I realized like how many people are actually into Legos, especially as like an adult. And I'm like, oh my god, I love that. That's so fun. Like I don't know, Lego. I think it's really fun. I love it. I'm one of those people. I don't know that I have the patience for it sometimes. So I'll like,
I get that. I get that. You definitely have
yeah.
to have the patience. I will say one of my pet peeves came up, and you just mentioned it partially.
Oh really?
So it came up in your phrasing, shall we say?
Okay.
Um, the word Lego is Lego. There is no Legos. Um,
Okay.
the word Lego. It's I know it's so weird.
No, it's okay.
Um,
No. I love it.
but yeah, so the when people refer to people get actually I don't want to use the word shamed,
Hmm.
but they get they get seen as like a not true Lego fan if they use the word
Oh.
I love to Legos. It's should be in most times most people would use it like I like to buy Lego sets. I like
Okay.
to build Lego. Um, you have to change the change it around. So yeah, I always poke fun at people when they accidentally put an S on the end, and I just get a kick out of it.
Actually, I have
It's not one of my total pet peeves, but I
no.
do laugh and giggle about it.
I love it because I'm learning. That's very similar. I'm super into Pokemon, so like when everyone says Pokemons, like I understand. Like I actually really
Oh, there you go.
understand that
Yeah,
pet peeve. Yeah, I didn't know that. I know that now though. Okay. All right. We should talk about. Okay, maybe we should talk about. Or do you want to do our names first, or do you want to say what the heck even is axe throwing first?
let's get into axe throwing first,
Okay.
and we can circle back around at least to get an idea of what we want to talk about and get into. Yeah,
All right. So, what is axe throwing? What the heck even is it? What do you do?
you are. That is a great question, Sam. Um, so, for anyone who doesn't know, axe throwing, and obviously correct any of us if we're wrong or anything like that. But axe throwing is a single person event. You compete against another thrower and you go 15 throws. After that, the winner with the highest score takes the match. Um, People use all sorts of different axes and types, different, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, different axes and types. But then, of course, depending on, as I think you and I discussed, to talk about is that there is two different main organizations for
Mm-mm.
axe throwing, and both have their own rules and regulations to what kind of axes you can use, um, the difference in their targets and things like that. So, in a nutshell, that is axe throwing. It's a
Yeah.
very enjoyable sport.
It is a real sport, by the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
Oh, you thought you looked it up and confirmed?
I don't need to. It's a real sport.
You're just saying it?
Hashtag flare gun stamp of approval. Real sport
Okay.
certified.
All right. I take your word on that.
Look. As much as I love esports, all right. We're throwing axes, okay? Esports is a sport. All right, axe throwing is a sport. All right, we got federations, we got a world championship. You know, we have an international like federations. All right, okay, it's a sport.
Something's talking like Star Trek and stuff. Wow. And all sci-fi.
But yeah, basically you chuck an axe at a target, but it's not. I know that sounds very simple. But it's actually very mechanical because the way you have to do it, there's a certain way, there's certain throws, and even when you throw, there's actually certain rules for how you have to throw depending on like the federation you're throwing in. So organization, I say federation, tomato.
That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what axe throwing is. We'll talk about the actual game mechanics in a little bit, but first. So, Graham, how did you get... How
did I get into axe throwing? Is that what going to be your question? Can I read your mind?
You can read my mind.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So my history of axe throwing started with friends, college roommates, visiting from out of town, and they wanted something fun to do. And out of the blue, I think just searching through Facebook and social media, actually Urban Axes popped up as an event or something to do locally, something fun to do. So the venue here, like I said, Urban Axes Baltimore, had pretty much just opened. I think they had been open almost maybe a year. I could be wrong. I'd be questioned on that, but they were new. And they're like, that sounds like a great time. Let's go. Let's do it. So we, I don't believe we did any reservations or anything like that. I think we just literally walked in.
Oh, good old walk-in. Walking, talking.
So we came in, had a time. Couldn't tell you who helped us or anything like that. But we had a great time. I do know our axe coach, Riley, was amazing. She was the reason I came back. And afterwards, we both did a great time. I think I ended up losing that with my friends. I think they beat me, and they have not let me hear that down. Oh well, but they can come at me now and see what happens.
Yeah.
Definitely a different thrower now, but yeah, I went there. Riley made the entire event and time we had there for I think our 1 hour walk-in incredibly enjoyable. She taught us all the mechanics. She tweaked it where we needed to be tweaked to hit the board, and we just had a wonderful and great time. And then, of course, after that, I enjoyed it so much, I wanted to come back every single time, which is what I did. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. So how long have you been throwing? Like, when did you start? Like,
actually,
time period?
Throwing so that was probably late 2018, because I believe so in our axe world, obviously, as you know, Sam, we can all track each other and track our stats, track our scores, track any tournament we do, any league. So I believe on our axe scores website, my first league was back in 2019. Was my first. So almost been doing this for almost 5 years.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, right? But yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess I'll do a little bit of a story time now. And talk about how I got into this insane thing that we do pretty recently, actually. So it was Mother's Day of this past year, and for various reasons, everyone else was not available. So it was like just me and my mom, and she was like, I don't know. I kind of want to do something different. And she didn't want to do something near her. So she actually drove up to where I am. And she was like, what if we go axe throwing? And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I did it before for work one time. And I was like, honestly, that sounds so freaking cool. So we went ahead, and she actually did like book an appointment because, you know, it was for Mother's Day, so they were a little bit busier. And we walked in, and I remember, I know at least two of the people that were there because they were two people that, but I know that yeah, so we walked in, and then Spicy Ride was our coach.
No, very good, very good.
Yeah. And I had a lot of fun, and I don't know, I was kind of getting like super competitive, and I knew nothing about axes or like anything like that, and I was like, this is so cool. And it didn't completely suck either. Actually, it was really funny. I couldn't throw two-handed because most people start off throwing two-handed. So
Correct, yes.
Spicy Ride was like, why don't you try one-handed? And then I actually threw one. I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is way easier. I don't know what that two-handed shit is, but that's and then when we were leaving, we were on our way out. He literally stopped my mom and I, and he was like, hey, you stop. Specifically you, pointed at me, but also maybe you, and then pointed at my mom and was like, and he kind of gave us the league pitch. And the timing was perfect because there was an open house. It was open house week. So there was literally an open house for league. Like there was one Sunday, Monday, and then I ended up going to the open house Tuesday. And yeah, I went to the open house. It was great. Had a lot of fun, and I was like, all right, I definitely know I want to do this. And then I signed up for the hardest league that I was told at the time was available, which was Tuesday Green. I was told that was a murder league, and I was like, well, I've already decided that I want to get dumb good at this random weird thing that I did one day. So, yeah, I signed up then for murder league, and here I am 4 months later. So I've been throwing for about 4 months now.
And I believe that was, honestly, also where we first met as well, I believe, right? You were practicing, and I think Spicy Ride was there, and
No, that was...
I think I butted in, was like, you should totally agree, join Tuesday. That was my suggestion, I think, to you.
That was at the open house, though, because Taylor was my coach for the open house. Yeah.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you did. And I was like, I mean, that sounds good. So
yeah, who's a stranger telling me I should do this? This is crazy.
Everyone seems so cool here. These people are all really cool. I'll do whatever they tell me. But yeah, so that's how I got into it. And then I joined, and then I fell in love with it even more, and now I am completely and disgustingly obsessed. So there's that.
Yep. And I think you make a very good point, that I think just word of mouth is one thing when it comes to the axe world and getting interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is your experience and who is coaching you and who is teaching you the fundamentals of how the game works and how to throw. Because if you don't enjoy that part of it, I think that could be, again, in my own opinion, but that could be a huge deterrent right off the bat. I don't know if did I ever tell you, so after coming in and then doing the coaching, the first session I did with my friends, I then kept coming back. After that, the former manager at Urban Axes asked, hey Graham, you've been coming in forever. How about you work here, be a coach, and you can throw? And I'm like, oh, well, okay, la-di-da. I have no life. Let's do it.
Oh, no.
I really didn't. I mean, okay, I did. That was me doing, I think, 3 jobs at the time. And I was like, let's take up my 3rd job was in Urban Axes. And I became an axe coach. And I feel like that is definitely one key thing. You have the people who come in for groups who they're there to have fun because they're part of a party, they're part of an event, their company brings them, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. And then that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they can still have a great time. And again, also, I think always about the people they're around, as well as, again, the key factor being their coach. And then there's the walk-ins, like obviously you did and I did, and again, the same thing fundamental comes back around to that. If you don't have a good time, obviously you're going to lose interest. But I feel like it's all from what you get out of the coach and how you're taught and your enjoyment from what the experiences that they have and they give you. So I feel like that was a tangent, but
no,
yeah.
it's okay. I completely agree. I was actually gonna kind of go off that because, at least for me, like, I'm gonna be honest. If I like if Alan wasn't able to recognize at the time that like I wasn't doing well two-handed or and like I wasn't having fun, and he wasn't able to be like give me that advice to make that adjustment, like I probably been like, oh well, I don't really want to do this. And I think it's even like I don't know. I don't think coaches really get enough credit because I think it's even small things like that that can make the game like incredibly more enjoyable for someone, especially like even just during a walk-in or like a one-time throwing process, because like when that one person walks in and they walk through the door, like that might be your only chance to ever get them to come back. So I think it's something that even at like big company buyouts or stuff, like I don't think people should take advantage of that because, you know, those are like going to be your people that they may return or they may never not return. And I think it's a lot of it, weirdly, that pressure is kind of on the coach. And I think it's something that's like not necessarily talked about, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. It's kind of like a weird little side thing, but yeah, coaches are important.
Oh, absolutely. That's totally true. So
yeah.
I was an ex coach, if you didn't know already, but yeah, I always tried to do the best I could to have I always tried to make it think like I was in their shoes and they're paying for, say, this hour, and they need to, they want to get the best out of this experience.
Yeah.
And they had this one little time spot to do it. And I want to make it enjoyable if I was there, and I've been there. So I want to make sure they know what the fundamentals are. I want to make sure they can at least hit the walk away and hit the board and be enjoyed and have a good time about it. If I have to tweak something, just like you said with Alan, how he was able to manipulate and change your throw and find what works for you. I think that's great. That's what it's all about. I know in my own scenarios of doing coaching, there was if I couldn't figure out what's going on with the fundamentals of why you couldn't stick the board, I would ask another coach. I'd be like, just give me 1 second because I really think you're really close to getting something here, but let me ask. I'll ask someone else. Okay, throw for these people and see what they think. Like again, Alan wasn't working when I was, but I would be like, hey, Alan, take a look at this person. Tell me what they need to do to stick the board. What am I missing?
Yeah.
And if it was Alan, you'd be like, oh, have them try this or have them step back just this play and make sure this. So that was always going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I know too, like you also helped me a lot when I was starting. And I think, I'm fortunate enough that I'm pretty good in my own, opinion, at least at being able to like kind of take criticisms. And I know that's not for everyone to be able to do that, but I think, I came into a place that was really, really willing to help me on everything. And I think because everyone had so much experience, that was also really beneficial. But I think just like, because it's a weird balance of like not wanting to overwhelm someone, but also giving them that constructive criticism. And I think like,
absolutely,
yeah, coaches do a good job of that. And I think you can tell too when people have like coaching or teaching experience, I think sometimes versus like the people that don't. But
absolutely.
Speaking of coaches, I mean, what are these coaches even coaching? Like, what is this for? Like, who knows? It's hot beans and bananas. So what is the International Axe Throwing? Yeah, it is Federation. Yeah, Federation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so what's the IATF? What is that? Who knows? I don't know. Do you know?
I honestly, it's funny you asked that. I honestly probably couldn't give you a total definite answer of what it is in a nutshell. I mean, I give it a nutshell probably, but Yeah, it's just a federation of organization of venues who are part of it, who compete in a single person axe throwing sport. I should call us a sport.
Yeah.
We compete at all of our different venues all over literally the world, which is actually mind boggling when you think that most of us only see each other from venues that are, I would say, in the same state, but we see people all over the US. But then to think that we have all these other people who are part of the same organization of axe throwers in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, it is insane. And of course, obviously Canada.
It is.
We don't want to leave them. We don't want to leave them out of it, being that's where we came from axe throwing. But yeah, it's just an organization of axe throwers, and these venues are a part of it. And the organization puts on a great show throughout the year of everyone who wants to, depending on what I think they want to get out of it. I think we were going to touch on that.
Yeah, we will.
If you're there for, I'll just briefly just say, if you're there for fun, you'll have fun, you'll drink, you'll enjoy yourself. And then the other people who want to come there and enjoy it and take it and learn about
Kick
that we
ass
have
and take names. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. I'm very modest when I think I'm modest when it comes to winning most of the time.
We're gonna crush some skulls and defeat.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
But those who take it seriously have the ability to go to what's called IATC, the International Axe Throwing Championship, which is held every year in Toronto, Canada.
Before we get into IATC, I think, interestingly enough, my perception of what I would describe what the IATF is a little bit different.
Okay, that's fun. Do it.
Okay, I would describe the IATF as the organization who provides the competitive rule sets for this side of axe throwing, of course, the IATF rule sets. And then
it's like that was scripted. I think you're reading from a script. That sounds very scripted.
It's not scripted.
I just tease it. Go ahead.
And I would also say, based off that, venues can subscribe to that rule set, and then they can be officially licensed with IATF. So I think, in my opinion, like, there are competitions held by IATF, but I think the main premise of, like, yes, it's like this big organization, but it's basically you subscribe to this rule set, and then if you officially subscribe to the rule set, then you're eligible to compete in official competitions that have more what's the word? Not prowess, that is not the word. More dignity. It's not dignity. Anyway,
it's not dignity.
Glorification, emancipation. I don't know. More big sparkly lights. That's good enough.
It's good. That's it in a nutshell. Big sparkly lights. I love it.
I couldn't find the word. I'm sorry, but
no, you could, and it was awesome.
It's good enough. You guys know what the fuck I mean. Oh, okay.
Yeah. There you go. I found my sound effects. You're welcome.
Not the sound effects.
You're lucky. I only have 6, so it's gonna suck. But I'm only gonna use the same ones over and over again. Go ahead.
Speaking of those rule sets, so what are the rules and the mechanics? And actually, I'm gonna pull up a picture. So, for if you're watching the podcast, you can see this on the screen, or you're about to be. But if you're not, sucks to suck. We're gonna give a audio description of what you guys are looking at. But yeah,
absolutely.
That's the wrong image. You didn't see anything. That's the right image. There we go.
And
didn't
for our
happen.
listeners, you definitely didn't see anything if you were a listener.
No, it's fine.
You didn't miss anything.
So this is the target board that the IATF uses. So there's like a normal bullseye. It's kind of like darts in a sense, is how I would describe it for people that don't really know what axe throwing is. But you have the outer circle is worth 1 point, the middle is 3,
Blue.
and then the
Typically blue. Yeah.
Typically, I'll get.
Typically.
I have a hot take about this, but it's typically blue.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah, and then the middle circle is typically red, and then the inner circle is typically black, and that's the bullseye. So it goes 1, 3, and then 5 in terms of point value. And then there are these 2 little green dots at like the top of the board that some people say look like nipples, but that's another discussion. But those are called clutch, and we'll get into how you can do those and stuff when we talk about what the more rule stuff. But those are worth 7 points. Yeah. So how would you just, all right, I'm gonna keep rambling. Okay, just give me 1 second. And then, so basically, for the normal, we're just gonna talk about normal standard league. It's the 15 throws.
Correct.
And the first 4 throws you can only throw on the bullseye, but on the last throw, you have the option to go clutch. Throwing clutch is notorious for being harder, of course. They're very small circles, and they're also higher up on the board. And that's why it's worth 7 points versus the bullseye's 5 points. And there's a variation, of course, as well of the clutch for something called Premier, which is one of the 2 main rule sets we kind of like touched on earlier. So there's standard, and then there's Premier. So do you want to explain what the difference between those 2 rule sets are, Waterboy?
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely. I will also preface that so people get an idea.
Yes.
Is that clutch is 2 inches.
Yes.
It's not small, but it's not big. It's definitely tough. So to come back around just a little bit.
I mean, that's what she said, but anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're not sorry.
No,
to revisit. There we go. I'm going to rephrase what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say it exactly the same, and it would just lead into you saying that same thing again and again and again.
I would never do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. So on the, like Sam was speaking to, for a match of standard rule sets, all your axe has to do is have majority of your blade within one of those 3 circles. The paint is included in counting of that majority. If you are in the majority, then you get that point. If you're fully in any of those rings or center circle, you get that full amount. And then, like I said, the clutches are actually 2 inches, I believe, what I'm looking at right now. 2 inches in diameter. So again, like I said, they're not that small, but they're not that big.
That's what she said.
Oh my God, I did it again. I will say, so fun fact. One thing which the rules were, the boards were actually different back when I first started throwing. I think you would have liked it better too, Sam. The clutches were almost, someone else is gonna have to correct me on how big they used to be, but they used to be, I think, almost 3 inches in diameter, maybe. They were bigger.
They were big boys.
They were. So actually, Sam, next time you are in Urban and you walk in the front door, look to the right. Those are old boards. Those are the old targets. So we used to throw on pine board, which sucks because it's a hardwood and it's very difficult to have your axe. Oh my gosh, you're gonna kill me.
It's okay. I was just gonna
penetrate. I'll say penetrate the wood flush. So your axe going directly into the wood. Most people will want to tow it in.
I was just gonna say, but now we throw on cottonwood for those that don't know.
Correct. Yes, we do. Which is a softer wood and more forgiving.
Oh, it's a softer wood, is it?
Yes, it's a softer wood. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
And moving on is then we have the Premier rule set, which Sam spoke of. And Sam is familiar with both the standard and the Premier, as she was, I believe, safely coerced into doing both those leagues.
Whoa.
She first started.
Whoa. If we're going to talk about safely coerced, I walked in to watch Premiere. I was like, I want to see what the fuck this Premiere shit is. This was like, I had thrown for 1 week, and this was my second week, and I walked into the building, and I was like, I just want to see. I heard that this was the thing. I was watching like the tournament videos because I wanted to get into it. I walk in the building, and then literally, I swear, I think you and Bose both basically ran up to me and were like, are you joining Premiere? And I was like, whoa, whoa. What's happening right now? I didn't even see any Premiere play yet. But yes, I did join, and it's great. I just wanted to bully you guys for that. For bullying me.
You're right. We might have bullied you a little bit into joining.
It was worth it, though. Best decision ever.
Yes. And you're hands down. I think it's great. It's very tough to do that, but it's kind of no better way than to just dive right in, especially when you go right to Premiere. Sorry. Yeah, and then so like we were saying, on the Premiere side of scoring, your blade has to be fully within the ring, and any bleed outside of any of the paint is considered the lower value.
Yes.
So it's a little more about the accuracy and less forgiving, but it is a very good way to fine tune your throw. And as we'll get into later, most of all the tournaments are typically on a Premier level in how they do their rules. They'll typically do Premier rules only. And it's better just to know it now and get it over with and learn it. And it's all the top throwers are very good at.
I agree.
And then the other thing is obviously clutches.
Yeah.
So clutches are worth 2 different point values on the Premier side of scoring. Your 3 rings are still the same, 1, 3, 5. But once you get to that 5th throw, you have the option again, like Sam said, to go to clutch. If it is called, if you touch the clutch in any way and break that outer pen line, which most venues should have around it, you will be awarded, obviously, as we know, 5 points.
Yes.
If there is then a box, I am so bad because I don't know what the box size is right now.
Isn't it like 1.5 by 1 inches, like something like that?
That sounds right.
It's it's smaller than the 2 by 2 because it's inside the circle. Really, the white box is why people call it a nipple, because that's really what makes it look like a nipple.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Enough of that.
No, you're not. You're not sorry at all. It's okay. But it's okay.
A little bit. I'm sorry, a little bit.
All right. Okay, I'll take that little bit.
Okay.
But as we were saying, yes, I believe that I think you are correct with that size dimensions. Your act to get full awarded 7 points must split that box, top and bottom. You must break the pen line on the top and the bottom. You can't go to the cross. You can't go to the side, left or right. You have to go split it up, down, which I know obviously is controversial for most people when they throw and they have this beautiful throw, and all of a sudden on the bottom, on the very edge, your axe goes out just a smidge, and it's like, it kind of looks like it did. But unfortunately, that's not correct. And you're then unfortunately awarded the 5 points since it's more of a touch than the full 7.
Yeah.
So.
But I will say, so we are gonna eventually, I'd like to at least do like a deep dive into like the history of axe throwing and like, or at least for the IATF and like all the different rule sets that we've had and kind of how that has changed and kind of adapted. But it used to be fairly recently, at least, it was only, you could only do Premier clutches when your blade like breaks that rectangle in half. And I was fortunate enough, I didn't have to deal with that, but I heard a lot of hate for the, for the...
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. No problemo. Here's the clutch. This is for Premiere. It's blocking us right now, but it's fine. So it is 1.5 by 1, and then the whole thing is 2 inches. So, yeah. But yeah, because when it was just only Premiere clutch, and then any touch was just 0, I heard that was not a lot of fun. So I'm glad they changed it.
Yes, that was a very vast. It was basically the nice thing where at least you get rewarded for something versus getting nothing in return. So
I mean, because I would say a touch clutch is like, I would even say it's still, in my opinion, at least as a newer thrower still, it's a little bit harder, I think, than to consistently hit even a premier bullseye. So I feel like even though you're touching, you're still getting something, which is nice.
That's interesting. I'll say that's interesting you say it that way, but it's probably just different for me because I've been throwing for so much longer. Whereas I'm trying to get that Premier 81. So also to premise to everyone, the perfect score is 81.
Yes.
That gives you 3 sevens and what is it?
25?
12.
No, that's not
What?
correct. I'm sorry.
That's not right.
That was so wrong. Wait, 15 minus 3 is 12.
12 fives, aka bulls, and getting three clutches. You are hilarious. Math.
But yeah, so there's a standard 81 and there's a premier 81. And we'll get into the like significance of that sometime, but for Premier 81, it's you have to get the Premier clutches, you can't get the touch clutches. And like I mean, yeah, you said it was different for you, so I definitely I can see that, because I feel from what I've heard and what I've experienced, I feel like a lot of more experienced throwers may feel that the touch clutch is kind of, it might be a little bit easier than that Premier Bull. But like for me as a newer thrower, I'm like, oh, I know that I have a greater chance of getting my whole axe in that big bullseye than even just touching the tip of the clutch, because
Absolutely.
I'm really trying to get like my clutches and stuff in check and keep improving. But I think it's like one of those things that like I'm fortunate I wasn't scared of the clutch, but I think clutch can be really daunting, and I think I've seen that as well with some of the more casual throwers, that they tend to like never go clutch. So I think that's just something I've noticed.
And that just goes back and circles back around to the whole premise of what do you want to get out of it?
Yeah.
Do you want to get better and feel like you want to get on? You've heard of other people going to the championships and going to other venues and other tournaments all over the country.
Wait.
Or do you just want to what?
I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm totally
I want to be
you.
the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my... No, did you not get that?
I know.
Oh, it's okay. It's the original Pokemon opening. It's like...
Oh, now I can...
Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. Please continue. I so rudely interrupted you for that terrible joke.
There goes my train of thought. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. But no, yeah, that just circles around to the fact of what you want to get out of it. And do you want to compete and go to different tournaments? Apologize for my yawns. Or do you just want to have fun? I think, as you know, we have people at our league who come in there and they want to get better and they want to move on into different leagues that we have at our own venue, and then maybe possibly do other events elsewhere at another venue out of our state. And then there's the people who just come to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could say that I'll use their X. I think you know what, I won't. I'll just say that there's definitely people who are more about throwing it and just having a good time, and others who want to compete and want to actually dabble a little bit harder.
Yeah. So, what box would you put yourself in? I mean, I have a feeling I know what box you're in, but tell the people listening or watching this what box you're in.
Yes, I think, as you know, I am in the competitive box. I enjoy traveling to all the other venues. I enjoy meeting all the new people. I think that's the other great thing about the Axe world is just the people you meet. Obviously, when you first meet me, if you do meet me, I am very very introverted. Most people usually have to approach me, but yeah, I will say my first time leaving my own home venue on my own to go to another place was very nerve-wracking. to be around complete strangers and compete and kind of feel the judgment of how does my throwing skill compare to theirs? How is it? And I think once you break that shell, though, going anywhere in the world is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, and as you know, I am the more competitive. I like to do lots of different leagues. I like to go travel to all the different venues, and go to different tournaments. And yeah, you know.
I do know. Yeah, I would. Look, I know I'm still like, kind of new or whatever. I'm not as new, but I would definitely also put myself in that competitive box. I haven't had I haven't had that experience yet because the only time I have traveled to another venue, other people I knew were there. But it's something that I do really want, and I definitely have a focus, I think, on really trying to get better, and do my best. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to out myself here. At least it'll be more exciting when I do get it. But I don't have my standard 81 yet, even. I think my high score is like a 70. So, I'll get there, but I think it's one of those things where I'm like, I like competing as well. I think it's really fun. And I think that, if you really also like the competitive side of axe throwing, this is definitely probably the right place for you to be, because competitive make brain go burr. Anyway, that's
You're not wrong.
yeah. So I guess now's a good time as well to circle back to oh my god, our axe names. What the heck are those? What are those? Why did I call myself Flare Gun? Why did you call yourself the Water Boy? What's happening? Oh!
Good job.
Thank you. So, Water Boy, why are you wet? Why are you the boy with the water?
No. You cannot premise why am I wet. That is not what I am.
Why not? You're the water boy. Aren't you always wet?
It is true. I'm not always wet. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not. So in the axe world,
Yes.
everyone starts off with your name. That's how you're entered into the system. As you progress, and this kind of can go both ways with how competitive in nature you are. Some people don't even ever change their name. I mean, as you know, Sam, there's someone in Premiere who has the same name as their legal name.
Oh, I'm so aware. I am very aware.
and we love him. He is a great thrower.
Yes.
But we always give him grief for,
he just can't get it up.
But we give him grief for not having an axe handle yet. I mean, he does, but anyway. So the axe handle is kind of like your nickname. Different people come up with it different ways. Some people get them from, I used to be called XYZ when I was a kid. That's going to be my nickname. We can, you know what? Let me just stop right there and just say, in a match, your name is called.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been an eye opener for you when you went into your first league and all of a sudden someone yells, next up, Sam versus the Water Boy. And you're like, who the heck what is, that's not someone's name, is it?
Yeah.
And you probably again had to be explained what all that meant and what it is.
Well, I think, go ahead. At least for my first league, I remember very specifically, I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I talked to people and they introduced themselves as their axe handle, and I didn't even know what axe handles were. I was like, wow, everyone has, okay, look, I was pretty overwhelmed because I'm also, I know I can yap, but I'm a pretty introverted person, and when you go into a league, it can be really overwhelming because they're you especially if you don't know anybody, and because I knew no one, it was just me, and I decided to do this thing, and the people that I really had talked to weren't there for the most part, and you know, so I was like this person and this person and this person, and then it was like, oh hi, I'm so and so, and oh hi, I'm so and so, and oh hi, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm like, these are the weirdest names I've ever heard. And then eventually someone was like, yeah, so these are axe names, they're not real names, and I was like, this makes so much more sense.
Yes. So most people, and like we were saying,
Mm-hmm.
you get your nickname or your axe handle from either something in the past that you've always been called, or you get it from your fellow axe throwers. You've been in league for X amount of time, and you've done something both ridiculous or something that just stands out, and that unfortunately sticks, and then you're in trouble because they decide to change your name for you. So I will say I started out obviously like everyone else with my real name, Graham. It then went to tying in with my love of Lego to Lego my axe. So that was my first axe handle. Yes, thank you. Laugh it up.
Sorry. It's going away now.
You're
Locking
really
it up.
cracking up. And then after that, it then changed to what it is now, the Water Boy. And that I will tell you, so that came back up from as you know, one of our axe coaches. And at the time, and again, we'll dive into all the terms and things about axe throwing, but at the time, my axe wife gave both of them, saw me watering the boards. So if anyone has thrown axes before, even if you haven't, one thing that venues will always do is water their boards. The watering of the board helps to keep the board from basically blowing out and deteriorating quicker, and just makes it last longer. So I would go up there and shut up and spray the board way too much. So that coach and ex-wife would say, all right, water boy, and tease me about that. So it stuck. And now to this day, I have embraced it. And as you know, Sam, I also embrace it to the extent that I will have my Bobby. The best way, if you ever see me at a venue during mostly only during playoffs and at a tournament, is I will be wearing a Bobby Boucher jersey from the Water Boy. It is my trademark. It is how I embrace the name and my axe handle. So, yeah. That's everything in a nutshell. I felt like I rambled, but oh well. Blair done.
That's literally why we're here. We're here to do the rambles. Yeah.
The rambles.
The ramble but brambles. Yeah. So personally, I'm gonna be so real. When I first started, I was like asking people, I was like, how did you get your axe name? And how did you get your axe name? And what I kind of observed is that there was a good portion of people who actually had chosen an axe name and then changed it when someone else actually gave them an axe name, or they waited until they got an axe name. So that's kind of like what I wanted to do. I didn't want to like at first, when I first started, I was like, well, I'm going to come up with something super cool. And my first thought was, it's really, I can't believe I'm going to out myself, but it was Saxy, because I was like, oh, well, it's sassy and axe. That was like, that's kind of fun. But then I realized that it sounded like sexy. And I was like, that's a really terrible idea. And I was like, well, I'll just wait. I couldn't think of anything I liked. So I was like, I'll just wait and really hope that these people end up eventually maybe liking me enough, and then I get a cool name, or I just do something really stupid and I get a funny name. So, yeah, I thought that I did something wrong when I received my axe name. I thought I was in trouble. I had just finished throwing a match, and then 2 urban employees, I don't know if they want to be named, so I won't name them, but
yeah, it's fine.
called me over, and I was like, it was weird because I was like, hey, what's up? I was still pretty new. I thought I was in trouble. Like, I thought I did something wrong. And they were like, we think your axe name should be Flare Gun. And I was like, why? And they were like, it's cool, and also your last name. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I don't know, but I don't hate it. But then Bose came over and was like, that's so cool. That has to be your axe name. And I was like, okay, I guess it's my axe name now. That's fine. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah. I didn't even really do anything. It just happens, you know?
I feel like that's how most people's axe handles come, or axe handles come around. Because it just happens. They just do something and it sticks. So, literally.
I didn't do anything though. I don't really know what I did, but I did something. I don't think
I was around for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mystery. I don't know. I just thought I'm glad I didn't get in trouble, so.
Yeah, like you would get in trouble.
I would totally, you know, I'm a little rule breaker. I'm so I'm just kidding. I hate breaking rule. I hate not English is hard. I'm gonna shut up now. Anyway, something about the rules I really wanted to bring up because this is something Anyway, we're gonna talk about the lines now because in IATF there's certain lines you have to throw from, and I think that's really important and a lot of people don't talk about it enough. Also because I had been throwing for like almost 3 months at this point and I didn't know about this damn line rule, so I figured we'll talk about it. Here's a picture of the lines. Wait, let me make it bigger. It's gonna cover.
That's what she said.
Oh, Clutch, go away, Clutch. Goodbye. There we go. So, for the lines, this one, the one that's at the furthest end, that's not the yellow one, that's shorter, that's the board. So that's the target. And then there's a red line, which you never ever cross, ever when you're throwing. If you do that, that's a footfall. Very bad. Very bad.
That is your fault line.
Yes. And then there is a black line, a dotted blue line, and a yellow line. So do you want to tell everyone what the lines mean?
Yes. So I will also premise that breaking it down, that drawing is going to be described basically twice. Yes. Because obviously in the game of axe throwing in a match, you are primarily throwing with a hatchet. So only 2 of those lines on the board come into play, more or less, when you do hatchet play against a normal competition. If Flare Gun and I were competing, if we tie, so it is on the final, and we have to go to using a big axe, and that is what the IATF has in their rules and regulations, is that sudden death or tiebreaker will be determined by a big axe throw. So, Sam, if you want to blow that back up again for me.
Yeah, I'll... Don't worry, there's no bombs here. We're just making an image bigger.
Yeah, so it says, as Sam has pointed out, so from hatchet, you just always have to have at least 1 foot behind the black line. In your throw, your motion of throw, neither of your feet can end up touching the front of the red. Any touching of the red is, as she said, is a fault, is a foot fault, and you will lose all points awarded to you for that throw. Most of the time, though, there's other variables to get into that. Obviously, if you're a new thrower, most leagues and coaches, at least at some venues, will be very lenient about that. They want to get you to throw. They want you to hit the board. They want you to have a good time. So if you foot fault, it's not the end of the world. You're learning. You're trying to adapt and figure out where to stand, where to start. So I'll just use myself as an example. I myself stand with 1 foot behind the black, as you're supposed to, and my second foot is halfway inside the black. And then I proceed to my throw. Sam, on the other hand, stands fully, I believe, behind the black.
I do. I stand far back, baby.
You do?
It's also because I have. We'll talk about this when we get super into the nitty gritty nerd stuff. But it's because I have a super long handle on my hatchet, so that's why I stand. One of the reasons I stand so far back.
Yes, and like you said, we'll get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you think science, you think physics and rotations of axes and all that.
Yes.
The longer handle. So in a nutshell, the axe needs to rotate roughly 1.5 times to stick into the board on a standard throw. That's what you want. But if you change the variable, any of those variables of your weight of your axe, your starting position of where you're holding the axe to how long your handle is, like Sam's has a handle which is longer than most. So to get that full rotation, you need to stand further back, ideally.
Wait. We throw the same damn axe. What the hell am I saying?
Mine's cut down.
Oh, I thought yours was stock. It's not stock.
Okay, well, it's stock. I just cut it down.
That's not stock. That's cut down then.
I feel like that's another conversation of the axe world of the difference between a stock handle and a custom handle or custom axe.
That's actually a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Anyway, sorry.
So no, you're fine. I consider mine still a stock axe. Nothing's been overtly or not overhauly. That's not even a word, is it? Nothing's been like completely changed or altered on it dramatically. I just shortened it to make it more adaptable to my throw, whereas yours is longer, which it works for you. So, and again, like I said, yours is longer. You have a longer handle, therefore staying further back from the board gives it, you get the full 1.5 rotations, and it works for your throw.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell for the black and the red when it comes to a standard hatchet throwing, your regular axe. If in the case and scenario that Sam and I go to big axe and we have a tiebreaker,
Big axe,
as she would say, come in any venue and you hear that, you know that's Sam or flare gun. My apologies.
You're fine. I don't care.
I will let you dive into your story about the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I know you're itching to talk about that. So any venue you go into will have your border, again, like you see on the screen, or if you're listening, you have a red line, which is your fault, your black, which is your standard hatchet throwing, and then you have a blue dash line or another line. This line is further back at, I believe, 15 feet, and that is for the big X tiebreaker. After that line is usually, most venues do it for safety reasons. They paint another line as a cautionary line to, as an axe coach, I'm more familiar with it as well, but please do not enter the arena if you're not instructed. Stay behind this yellow line, because that's like the safe distance in a sense. When you're throwing big axe, everything that you see with the red and the black is translated back to the next set of lines, the black and the blue. The black becomes the new red, the blue in the picture, if you're looking at this, if you're just listening along, the next line is then your black. And everything stays the same. What you can and can't cross and touch is all just duplicated from a further distance. And then there's the yellow line, which Sam would happily love to explain her small little conundrum about.
Fuck that yellow line, bro. That yellow line's a piece of shit.
She has love for that yellow line.
So, okay, when I first started throwing, right? No one, and like I just started throwing big axe. To my memory, no one was like, I believe, I don't know who told me this, but I was told that you have to have 1 foot back behind the yellow line, and so I was throwing big X for like 3.5 months, like, and I was like, oh man, this is like crazy. Like, it's not that crazy, but it's gotta be like, my foot's gotta be all the way back here. And then I was really struggling one day and I wasn't hitting the board. I was just kind of like having an off day. And I was like, dang, do you remember how it came up in our conversation? Did I say like about the line? I know you told me about it.
Yeah, I remember I told you about it. I think you just brought it up in conversation. Like you were either practicing or we were in league and you were doing big X practice before we started.
Okay.
I don't know. It might not have been actually in league because I don't think anyone was really around.
Yeah.
I feel like you would have been a lot you would have probably been a lot more embarrassed if it was a whole people who didn't realize that. I think it was practice or something.
Okay,
We'll say it at that.
Yeah, it might have been practice, and I was like, yeah, this damn yellow line, it's crazy you have to have your foot behind it. And then Greg was like, no. And basically was like, yeah, you have to have 1 foot behind the blue line, not the yellow line. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That's cray. So long story short, I now throw with 1 foot basically behind the yellow line because that's how I learned to throw, because I thought you had to throw that way. But that's not how it works. And make sure, be a nerd, okay? Read the rules. Mostly trust other people, but it's okay to be skeptical sometimes. If you're like, that's kind of crazy. I didn't really think it was crazy. It seemed super reasonable, but now I just have this gripe for the yellow line simply because of that one little inconvenience. Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. Now the question is, were you sticking it from that distance?
I was. I didn't change my throw really once I found out. So I literally still throw I moved up a little bit, but like the tip of my toe usually is like my back leg is usually kind of right on the end, the back end of the yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I only moved up like an inch or two.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
I also throw. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was to say, if you ever walk into any venue, most of the time, all venues will have that yellow line or a chain or divider they put up to prevent anyone from getting near them. Because when you do that big axe, obviously you're wielding a big axe, and they just want to be safe and all that. So
yeah, because like we're not trying to murder people. Okay, we're just throwing the axes.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're not axe murderers.
We're just axe throwers. Wait, that's a good outro. What if that's our outro?
There we go. I like it.
Yeah, so that was it. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't know. I hate the yellow line now, but we can. But other than that, wait, come back, Clutch. There it is. So what about? Because there's lots of other stuff that also goes into kind of axe throwing and the stuff around it other than really just throwing the actual axe, which I think is interesting. Because I think it's similar to a lot of more niche sports. But there's what I would like to call axe accessories.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you wanted to talk about those or do a little brief like summary of like what the heck is going on with all that. Speaking of, what even is a custom handle? Like, what is that? Is it I don't know, is it homemade wood? Do you just pull a stick off a tree and put some metal on it and then you're like, hee-yah!
Kind of, yeah.
I think there's a little more that goes into it than that, but
So yes, talking about your axe accessories, as you definitely get into, as people find where their niche is in the axe throwing community and world.
Is it niche or is it niche?
Whatever you want it to be. It could be quiche. I don't know.
Oh my god, people have axe quiches.
Yeah, then they eat them and they sometimes share them.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yes, at all these tournaments, you see people with their custom axes, obviously custom sheaths for their axes, custom bags, kind of, sort of, yes, no, and their own bags. Before your time at Urban Axes, there was a thrower who used a guitar case as his axe bag. It
That's
opens
pretty
it up
hype.
and all right, it's pretty cool. So you have those. You have obviously gun cases are very good to use, and then there's obviously and then obviously, as we know, there are bags that are designed specifically for axe throwing and keeping everything with you, whatever you need, big axes, hatchets, etc. So that's really cool. And then you have the people who would like to go even further and have custom sheaths, and it's a rabbit hole. It's a dangerous one.
It is. We'll do a whole thing on accessories. We might even we might get so disgustingly nerdy with you, we might even do a different episode for each accessory. That's how deep we'll go. If you want that, let us know. Email us, comment below. Hi ho, hi ho. Anyway, yeah, they're pretty cool. It's really interesting though. They can be, it's really up to the person, like how into it you want to get. Really, I would say all you need this is my personal opinion, is I would say a decent hatchet, and then a decent big axe, and whether they're stock or not, maybe profiled, maybe cut down a little bit, but like in my opinion, that's like, oh, and a sheaths for those. Don't bring naked axes in, please. But other than that, I really think that's all you actually need, and then everything else is like up to people's preference. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think, as you found out, any axe you just go out and purchase will come with the sheath, will come with all the protection and covers you need.
Well, no.
Safe.
They come with axe condoms. Those are not sheaths. Those are condoms.
Oh, that's how you want to put it. Okay.
Well, no, because they rip so easy and they break. So like, at least with me, because I'm a little rougher with my axes, like I haven't, it wasn't anything bad, but like I've nicked myself before, like through those, because I think they just like, for some people they definitely work if you're gentle, you know, you have a nice dainty finger, but I'm not.
True.
And yeah, I would recommend, if you are not, to get a real sheath, even just like a nylon one or whatever, which you can get for like reasonable price on Amazon. But that would be my only exception. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you to talk about axe condoms. Go, continue.
No, you did though, so.
But I'm sorry.
But no, yeah.
Okay.
I lost my track.
Oh, well, you were just talking about that they come with sheaths.
Correct.
Yes.
And then I think, as you see, it turns into a slippery slope of, you buy your axe, and then you see other people in your league, and they're like, "Oh my God, you have the same axe. Yours didn't come with this." Like, "Oh no, mine's custom. I got mine from so and so, and they made this." And you're like, "Oh my God, I want them." And then it just gets, yeah, there. That's your rabbit hole.
Yeah. 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 So do you have let's see, do you have any good hot takes on rules that are related to the IATF rule sets, either standard or premier?
Any hot takes?
Yeah.
Something I can think of.
Controversial, something spicy.
Like a spicy ride. Honestly, I don't think I have one right now. Do you?
I think this is a lukewarm. Well, I have two. I know there are some people that want standard and premier. They only want one rule set. I don't know how popular of an opinion that is, but I have heard it from some people. I like that they're separate rule sets. I think they should stay separate. I think that if you are just throwing for fun, it sucks to be forced to throw premier. And I like that there are different rule sets. I know it can be a little more confusing, but I think it's good. And I think it's beneficial. Yeah, what do you think about that?
No, I think you're right. It's tough to sway one way. It's not tough to sway one way or the other for me, because I've been throwing for so long. Premier is where it's at. Premier is where everyone, all the big tournaments and all the main events throw. So it's kind of like, it kind of should just go that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those, I think, weird little scenarios. You learn somehow. Do you want to learn the easy way in standard and have some, and be more forgiving with your throws, and or do you want to just dive right in like you did? I know there's two other throwers who I was not a coach. No, I was done. But two other throwers, again, like you, they started just doing right. The only day they had available was to do Premier League.
Yeah.
Which hey, hats off to anyone who's only come to do like an open house and then they jump right into doing Premier League. Oh my gosh, that's insane. And
It's
hats
Pog
off to you
though.
because
You should do it.
yeah, it's great. It's anyone who can do that is you're phenomenal. That's great that um, you have that ability because yeah, wow, it just sets you up for so much more jumping into Premiere first. I feel like it makes you feel standard is like a nice little easy walk.
Yeah, I definitely I think I empathize with that sentiment, and I really do. I mostly agree with it, but I don't know that nixing standard like completely would be necessarily good, because at least from some of the other leagues that I've seen, I think that standard would probably be just more enjoyable for them, regardless of like my thoughts. Like I prefer throwing Premiere, and like I would be throwing Premiere if I could right now, and I think Premiere just makes you a better thrower. But I think that standard is still like, it's really good for especially really casual people that just want to throw for fun. Also, if they took standard away, then I think that standard 81s would go away. And I think because we'll talk about this in our next episode, but because of like the culture around that's kind of been built in the axe community, I think having the standard 81 go away would be I don't want to say necessarily harmful, but I think it would kind of have maybe like repercussions in like people's perception of what it would be to like actually get an 81, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, that's,
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just say you're spot on. To get that 81 is such an accomplishment and such a great goal. Standard 81, such a great goal and feeling. Obviously, getting Premiere, if you got that first, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
You're crazy.
That's a great accomplishment, and you're crazy. And hats off to you and your skill level. But yes, being able to come into standard and then setting a goal of trying to get that 81 is amazing, and then being able to accomplish that, it's a great feat. Yeah,
Because isn't
so
there,
it's great having it there.
yeah, that I would agree, because I think Premier 81s are so difficult to get. I mean, we have every year we have quite a few people from urban that qualify and have made it far to IATC, which is essentially equivalent of like the Axe Throwing World Championships. But I think only one or two people, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Graham, but I think only one or two people from urban Baltimore like even have their Premier 81, because it's so hard to get.
Yes, you're spot on. Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
So
I believe it's only one person has their Premiere.
Okay.
But there's plenty of people who are trying.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know. We'll go, what? I will say that I think that's one thing that's very fun about Premiere is that you might be able to agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
On a standard level, if you've been playing standard, you have skill levels that are from beginner to, you could say, advanced.
Mm-hmm.
And advanced doesn't mean you have a Premier 81, doesn't mean anything like that. It just means your consistency, different levels of consistency.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you go to Premiere, and again, you can tell me if you agree with this or not. This is just my opinion on it. That when I play Premiere, I feel like it's just a level playing field for the most part. Everyone is just trying to get that Premier 81, and we're all pretty much even. It's just working out those little kinks to perfect. So.
Ooh. Okay. I think. Yeah. I completely.
But that could be just the crowd, though.
Mm-hmm.
That could be just the group of throwers who I've thrown with on that level.
Yeah.
Different venues that could be totally different. So that's just my take on it.
I think at least from my perspective, I think that, like, I do agree standard has a wide variety of people and throwers, but because I came into Premiere, I'm fortunate enough that I'm crazy, all right? I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I love diving headfirst into stuff, and yes. I really enjoyed diving into Premiere. but it was, and I think I like the fact that it was overwhelming because in a way, you know, it made me get better super fast. But I still, and funny enough, I actually won my first ever game in Premiere, and it wasn't even in Standard. But I still feel like I definitely felt like it definitely was not an even playing field, and maybe that's because I came in kind of like from the outside and I was like looking in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because how do I say this? At least from like the certain group of throwers, I felt like I think it was easier for me a little bit because I was at the very bottom, ironically enough, of like the skill level to like see the differences and I think people's level a little bit more. And I think Premiere definitely, I don't completely disagree. I think Premiere feels more even of a playing field, and I think it does feel that way. And I would agree. But I think if you're coming in and you're new, it feels...
You're right. That's totally different. You're correct.
Yeah. It feels like the opposite because it's like, whoa, there's not a range of skill levels here. Everyone is fucking cracked. And that could also just be because we throw at like a really competitive, I would say arguably like high level venue. So that could be part of the reason as well, and not every Premier League might be like that, but yeah, that's kind of my perspective is like once you're there and you're in Premier, I agree with you completely, but if you're new, it's definitely a little scary.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was a lot of words to say something real small and easy.
All good.
Yeah, that's a fun hot take.
That is.
The only other hot take I have is that if you tow your axe in completely, if you tip it completely in the white rectangle in the clutch and you're not touching any green, that shit should be 7 points, okay? 7 points. That's so impressive. What the heck?
You are not wrong. That is, I feel like other people have discussed that. That is like a skill upon its own to be able to do that. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
At my first tournament, I saw someone do that and then they only got 5 points. And I was like, what? But that's so crazy. Yeah, that's my only other rules hot take.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah. So what are some upcoming events in the Axe world?
So we have, for most axe throwers in our community we have Choptober coming up. That is it.
What's that? What's that for people who don't know what that is? Oh my gosh, Choptober. That sounds crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. All right. It's bonkers. Choptober is a once-a-year event around Halloween time at Chopper's Hatchet House in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They put on quite a show of doing everything from, they do a marathon on Thursday to then skills events to a main event. They just go bonkers. But a lot of throwers all over the country and outside of the country enjoy that time. It's a great time. A lot of people also love these big events also, such as this one coming up, just to see old friends and meet new people as well. So it's always a pleasure and joy.
If Choptober is a big event, what happens if like, you know, you win, because there's a main tournament at Choptober that's like, you know, for all the bees knees. So what happens if you win that?
You know, I can't totally tell you 100% what the final basis reward is.
But do you win anything at all?
Of course, you win a trophy and a prize, and
whoa, that's crazy!
Oh my god, you're ridiculous. No, the main prize is that you get a bid to going to the International Axe Throwing Championship. And again, we can touch base on we will touch base on that later down the road.
Yes.
But there's only so many spots, and you can get bids or qualify through other routes.
Yes.
So we'll get to that. But October is one of those that you can get in through that.
Yeah, and you win it's a day 2 bid, right? Not so that you win, which is why it's a big deal versus day 1.
What do you mean?
for ITC, it's when you win, you get the day 2 bid, which is like, or round 2. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Pokemon championships. Round 2, not day 2.
This is axe throwing, not a card game.
Actually, I'm talking about the video game championships. I don't know. The card game's
sorry.
not for me. I know. Great.
My bad.
No, you wouldn't know. It's okay. I did.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't know.
I was just messing with you. I was just ruffling feathers. I don't know. Words are hard.
But no, yes, you are correct. Winning a tournament, or doing a round 1 competition, and again we'll talk about that later. But
yes.
Competing in a round 1 at a venue, or winning one of these tournaments throughout the year, get you a bid to round 2, which is the actual championship in Toronto. So yes, you are correct.
Okay.
It was just worded strangely.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so next episode, join us. We are going to have a very special guest on, someone near and dear who's a big part of the axe community. You'll see next week. So we are going to be talking about the culture in axe throwing and what that means and what kind of community axe throwing fosters. So it'll be a great episode, a great way to learn about the community. And if you really, would be like, oh my God, this is so cool, I want to get into this. If you're not already, the IATF page will be linked below, at least on YouTube. I don't know about Spotify. Maybe it's on the YouTube, but if you want to see if there's a venue near you. So yeah. You got an outro thing to say words?
I don't have it. I think we used our outro halfway through.
We did. Wait, okay. Yeah. All right, wait. What if we just reverse it? We'll just reverse it. All right. And then we'll end it. Okay. Yeah. So, we're not axe murderers.
Correct.
Then you got to no. So if I say we're not axe murderers, you got to say just axe throwers. After. Okay. All right. Yeah. Goodness. Yeah. We're not axe murderers,
but axe throwers.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
Not bad.
Make sure to sub, like, all that stuff. All right. See you next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.